On this edition of Game Shack, it's my hands-on review of the world's first commercially available 4K virtual pinball game, the AtGames 4KP. I'm going to tell you guys what I think about it, if it has value for money, what the alternatives are, and if you should buy one of these for your home arcade. All that and more coming up next. Hey everybody, welcome on back into the channel. I am your host, JDV for Evil Genius Entertainment. Thank you for stopping by. All right, if you dig this kind of content, give me a thumbs up. It is a great way to help the channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell if you have. And if you really feel crazy, you could donate $5 down below and buy me a coffee. All right, before we go any further, you guys should know that AtGames sent me this unit to review. When I'm done, I have to send it back. No money has exchanged hands. I don't work for AtGames. The opinions you hear are my own and hopefully are as unbiased as I can make it. They didn't make me promise to review this thing positively. They don't get to see the video of this before I post it on YouTube or any of that. But as always, you should always check around, look at other people's videos, get their opinions. However, the opinions expressed in this video are my own and are as unbiased as I can make them. So I've had it for about a week now, maybe 8 days, and I've played it every day since. I've played through every table, I've done OTG, I've done everything that I can to kind of put this thing through the paces. Obviously, this product is brand new. It's only been on the market for about, I think, a month, 5 weeks, something like that. So it has not been around for a very long time. Indeed, virtual pinball itself, in terms of this kind of machine, has not been around a long time. Now, virtual pinball games have been around arguably since the Atari 2600 version, but really this sort of thing where you can buy your own cabinets, build it, where all the infrastructure is there, is really a relatively new thing. And I think that's a very important thing to keep in mind about any of these type products, but specifically this one, is the fact that we are still really at the very beginning part of virtual pinball. I have built my own pinball machine, which you can see over here, and have spent a lot of time, hundreds of hours in it. I have been working on virtual pinball games for the better part of 6 years. It is a major part of what I do for my home arcade, and I would say it's a pretty big part of my life because I love pinball so much. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the price, because that is a big factor in this unit and all pinball games, period. Now this game goes for right now $19.99 because it has the included SSF kit, which is essentially a $500 add-on, and it is installed at the factory at that price. You can get this machine without that kit for $14.99, but of course AtGames always has those National Owners Days, I think quarterly at this point, so you can wait around and hopefully get into this thing a little cheaper. So if $2,000 sounds like a lot of money for this, and of course $2,000 is a lot of money in terms of if you've been buying other products, say from Arcade 1-Up. But the fact is there's not a lot of alternatives. So let me kind of run down the list of things that I've seen that you can buy. Of course, you can buy the HD version of this machine right now for $799 from AtGames. Of course, you can pick these things up used for more like $400 or $500. And again, you can pick them up on sale for less. Right now, the Arcade 1-Up pinball games are still available. I checked Best Buy today as I filmed this video, and you can pick up their Marvel version of their pinball game for $749. And of course, you can always look at other people who build their machines. Now, the closest thing that I got to being able to get this in a pre-made package was from King Pinball. I think they're out of Florida. And you can pick up something that is similar to this from them for $2,749. Now, you're only going to get an HD screen in that, and there's a 7-month turnaround time, but that gives you some kind of indication of what the pricing is on these things. Likewise, you could order unit like this from Extreme Pinball out of Australia. That would give you a 4K playfield. However, that thing is going for $3,540 and does not include shipping and handling from Australia. There's at least a 1-month turnaround time, not counting the shipping. So you're looking at realistically about 2 to 3 months before getting something similar from Extreme Pinball. You can also order a virtual pinball game from Ultra VP, however, substantially more money than this unit costs. But if you want to buy, let's say, a kit to build your own, you're looking at spending something like $650 from a place like Game Room Solutions. If you want to add artwork on the back box and the sides, you're looking at another $150. If you wanted an OLED playfield, which would be the one step above the playfield that comes included, you're looking at something like $800 just for that. So it's not necessarily that much cheaper to build one of these things yourself. And again, you would have to be providing the PC, this screen, the DMD, the playfield, all of the buttons, the speakers, all of the wiring, the amplifiers. So it's a big commitment in terms of time and money if you want to build one of these things. So all of that said, this review is going to be very positive, and a big part of why it's going to be positive is the fact that, hey, this is really the only show in town when it comes to providing you a 4K pinball game that has all of the bells and whistles, or almost all of the bells and whistles, at a $2,000 price point. Frankly, there is nothing else on earth that touches this machine at this time for that price. So let me give you my pros before I get into the cons. Of course, the pros are going to be that this is an amazing looking pinball game. It looks like a real pinball game. The previous version of this, in my opinion, did not. It looked like something maybe that you would have made in your own garage. This has the fit and finish of something that you might actually see in an arcade. Indeed, I could see this very easily being in a place like Dave & Buster's because it looks legit. It feels legit, it plays legit. And with the included SSF kit, if you do get that, it really does add a huge, huge bonus to it because you can hear the ball rolling down, the game will rumble and everything like that. So there is a lot of benefit to this machine that you're not going to be able to get in that HD version. Another huge positive, of course, is that you can get these Zen games, games like Addams Family. And let's talk a little bit about the premier game on here. Boy, I'll tell you what, it looks fantastic. I was not prepared for it to look and play as well as it did. It really did play buttery smooth. I was very surprised because, of course, that is one of the premier games that you can get on, say, something like VPX, which looks even better than this. However, I would actually say that this game plays smoother and more closely related to the actual real-world pinball game than does the world's next best alternative, that version on VPX. I was very surprised. I really did like the additional things like the candles and the animations that you can get on those Zen games. Now let's talk a little bit about the flipper lag. It is there on Addams Family for sure. However, it plays really, really well and really looks spectacular. I played this game for hours. Even though I have it available on my other machine, I would rather play it on this machine because it just plays smoother, and I love the little gimmicks like the candles and all the animations and things. It really is one of the cool things. Of course, we're going to have lots more Zen games coming down the line. We know Star Trek Next Generation, Attack from Mars, a whole bunch of other things are coming. But so far, I'm really borderline stunned that the hardware on this machine works as well as it does. It's one of the things that I thought maybe was going to be a problem, but no, it turns out to be a big pro. The hardware, almost anything to do with actual physical hardware on this machine is really, really good. Another big pro. All right, another pro is the sound. They included 3.5-inch speakers, sound way better than the original speakers did in the HD version of this machine. However, unless you are just a very casual player, I would think very strongly about spending that extra money to get the SSF kit. It really does help the illusion of it feeling real. It's really weird how much sound matters in virtual pinball game. If this makes any sense, having really great sound makes it look better somehow. I don't know. I mean, it's a really cool thing. However, it does sound better even if you just get the stock speakers. It is a pro that you can get that 7.1 SSF if you want it. Another big time pro, of course, that it comes included with the solenoids. You're going to be able to hear the solenoids inside the machine. I thought they were really nice. There's different volumes of them. Some people say they were too loud. Not me. You know, I like my pinball machines hot, fast, and nasty, just like Eleanor Roosevelt did. And part of that is having that clicker, that solenoids. Of course, it still has the plunger, which is nice. It has a built-in accelerometer, which is nice. So there are a lot of bells and whistles that come included in this, things that are both A, hard to set up if you're building it yourself, and B, expensive. Another great pro is the fact that they vastly improved the user interfaces. Again, one of the things that I asked for a couple years ago, saying, boy, we really need a user interface upgrade, and did we get it in this? The user interface is now great. You can scroll through the games very, very easy. You can get into the menu, and if you really like the tile system from the original ELP, you can go back to that. The user interface, though, in my opinion, is a massive upgrade above the other, and now is not only usable, but is a pleasant experience. Likewise, all of the games that I played use the same exact setup, so unlike the original ELP, which sometimes games you would have to hit different button orders to get back into the menu, that's all gone now. Every game now uses the same exact setup, so you kind of get to remember how boop, boop, click, 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 bam, you're out, you're into another game. It all works very good. It's a huge improvement and another pro of this model. One of the cool things about the new ELP is that when you want to go ahead and run OTG, you don't have to add anything else in. It's all built in. You just plug the HDMIs into the back, plug in your USB-A to USB-A, and you are ready to roll. And it worked flawlessly right off the bat. I didn't have to mess around at all. It instantly recognized it. There you can see my Steam screen. So we'll just go ahead and click on FX3, which is what I have on this PC. All right, so that's launching. And there you go. I'm already ready to rock on there. Had to do nothing special. So OTG works. I mean, that's the bottom line, is it works, and it works pretty good. All right, let's talk a little bit about the cons, some of the negatives of this machine. While the hardware side of this machine is pretty amazing, the software side has some problems that still need to be overcome. One, let's talk about the headline game here, Addams Family. There is flipper lag. There's absolutely flipper lag. It's about like a half of a beat. And when you're playing with just a single ball, it's really not that bad. But when you have multi-ball, boy, that's where it really comes into play, because that is all reaction, because you can't really track all of those balls coming down the playfield at the same time. That's all reaction speed, and that is, you are going to take a hit on that because of that half of a beat type of flipper delay. Now, there is no lag in the other games, which is a good thing, but the bad thing is that, in my opinion, Magic Pixel has not done a stellar job in these 4K tables. One, they are just simply reboots of all of the other games that you could get on the HD version. And those designs are frankly not great. Their playfields tend to be overly complicated, a lot of wireforms, second and third play areas on there. You don't really see a whole lot of that in real pinball games. You don't see a whole lot of that in the best all virtual type games. So their playfield designs are not great. When you look in at the graphics on there, yes, they do look better than the HD versions, but you are going to see a lot of jagged edges in places on the flippers and on some of the bumpers and things that I really found to be very odd, considering that the time they had to do this. It didn't look great upon close inspection. When you're just standing from afar, though, it does look okay. And one of the things about Magic Pixel playfields is that there's a huge amount of dead space. Now, in something like Addams Family, where they're trying to replicate a real world game, you can expect a little bit of dead space for like the rules of the game and, 2 coins to play and all that. But you really shouldn't have any of that in a game that was designed entirely for virtual pinball. And here you can see an example where you have, 2 or 3 inches of dead space at the top of the playfield. You have a couple of inches of space that's essentially dead at the bottom of the playfield. And because you cannot change the inclination of these tables, you cannot punch in, you can't kind of excise out that extra dead space, at least not yet. That means that the virtual ball that you're going to have is like very, very small on some of those Magic Pixel games. So really what I'm saying is that I wish that we had more ability to change all of the settings on this game. I wish we could change the settings on the sound, wish we could change the playfield. I wish we had more flexibility, the kind of flexibility that you will see in VPX and future pinball tables. I'd like to see brought over to here. Hopefully we get to see that coming down the line. Another little thing, and it's a very small thing, is that the buttons up front don't light up. Now the coin door buttons light up, but the actual buttons that you're going to be using all the time don't, and that's actually kind of a negative. I found myself hitting the coin door buttons, which are lit, a lot. Like, they're lit, so I kept on hitting them. Like, why is anything happening? Oh, they're up here. Now, of course, when you own this game for a long time, muscle memory will take over and everything like that. But really, I would like to have seen those buttons be lit. It's a little thing, but hopefully something we see in future models coming down the line. In terms of things that I'd like to see as add-ons made available for this table down the line, it'd be really cool if AtGames would give us a shaker motor that we could put on there. Games like Godzilla, even Addams Family, when you go into that multi-ball or the chair shakes, that'd be really cool to have a shaker motor on there. I mean, I don't know if you'd have to take the machine or if you could stick it on the bottom of it or whatever, but that would be really cool. Probably more practical is if we could get a strobe light right here in the center. So when you got a free ball, you did something spectacular, we'd see a real strobe, or a line of LED lights that were interactive with the sound effects. Now you can add stuff like that yourself, but it'd be really cool if we could get it built in, particularly strobe light. The other thing that I'd maybe like to see down the line is either mirrored side art blades or dedicated side art. So Addams Family type art on the side here. Now, you don't have a lot of room here to do that, but I think it'd be kind of cool if we could get that in silver, or maybe even strobe lights or LEDs on the side. Really, that's about it though. Everything else that you can pretty much imagine in a virtual pinball game already comes installed in it. So what's my final grade? My final grade is an A-. And again, that includes all the factors, price, availability, and everything else. It would be a solid A if there was no flipper delay on Addams Family or those Magic Pixel games were a little bit more inspiring. As it is, they're kind of, they're there, and they're not horrible or anything, but they're so far below what Addams Family is and what Star Trek Next Generation, Attack from Mars, and all those other Zen games that I can't quite give this game an A yet. Now 6 months from now, this might be an A+++ game. Right now, A-, B+, depending on what your point of view is. I think that if you're a pinball enthusiast and you don't already have a 4K machine running, this is something you ought to look very strongly at. If, however, you already own an HD ELP that you have tricked out, or are only middlingly interested in virtual pinball, this might be a little bit too much for you. One last note is, if you have questions about OTG or installing the game or building it, I'd say take a look at Tampa Tech's videos, and of course John Wagner, who does a great job, really step-by-step of walking you through how you assign your buttons and doing everything else that you need to OTG. Now hopefully I'm going to have this machine long enough to where I can do my own videos on this and really work up some of those more hobbyist type things. But until then, go check out John and Tampa Tech's videos. They are fantastic. All right, if you dig this kind of content, please give me a thumbs up on the way out the door. It really, truly does help the channel, and it helps other people who might be interested in virtual pinball find videos like this. Love each other, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the Game Shack. Mwah!
Be sure to visit EvilGeniusEntertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.